Hello, my name is Nathan. I'm from Texas in the United States of America, and I love Gundam.
Okay, so let's start with the first question. What is Gundam?
Okay. Gundam is it's a franchise from Japan based around giant robots, basically that in different universes that fight each other in wars and in space and on Earth, and there's like space colonies and lots of different things. And from the animes, they make model kits of these robots, which like plastic airplanes or like model airplanes, you gotta build them yourself. The only difference from model airplanes is that they are already colored, so you don't have to paint them, and they don't require glue, so anyone can really do it.
How do you actually build it? Can you show us like a process of how you like build it and like how it looks like in the box?
Yeah, so I have one here actually that I haven't started yet, so it's still actually in all of its kind of plastic. So they will come like this on what's called runners, and so you've got the different pieces here that you need to cut out, and you will take them out and you will basically put them together. And these don't require glue, so all you really have to do is just snap them together. So here, this is kind of what the instructions would look like.
Oh, that looks really complicated.
And that's what everyone says the first time they see it, but it's actually not that complicated, because the way they make these and the way they kind of make the instructions, what's cool is that like with any other instructions, you've got the language of where it came from, whereas with Gundam kits, you don't need to know Japanese at all. In fact, when I started maybe 3-4 years ago, they weren't doing English in their manuals yet. So I have no idea how to read Japanese, but I was able to do them because the instructions are clear enough, and plus they kind of make it to where you kind of can't mess up, except for like the pieces go where they're supposed to and usually nowhere else.
Oh, I see. How long have you been doing Gundam? Like the building of it and like
so I believe I started, I want to say 3 to 4 years ago. I actually can't exactly remember now, but yeah, I just kind of, because when I was younger, I believe I had either action figures or small model kits of Gundam, and for some reason, like 3 or 4 years ago, the thought just came into my head, like, oh yeah, I remember having that stuff, and I was like, I wonder if they, if they still make them, and I go online to look, and lo and behold, they make a lot of them. So I just kind of went on from there.
like, why do you like start collecting it though? Like, are you like considered a collector, or just like, and like what drives you into building one?
Yeah, well, I have kind of like a passion for building things in general, really. So like when we get like furniture, like shelves here at my house, I usually end up building them myself. But yeah, I guess you can kind of sort of call me a collector, because I do like to collect. I do like what they call straight build, which is you just build the kit without painting it, without doing kind of any extra work or modification. And I'll build them and I put them on my shelves in my room. And on top of that, I also do like to collect some rare kits. So like, for example, last year, they had a kind of special collaboration with the 12 baseball teams there in Japan, where they were like baseball. So they're baseball themed Gundam kits with each of the teams, and I collected almost all of them. I'm missing actually one team, but I do like trying to find rare-ish. That's harder to get here in America. So.
Is that like, do you have like a mini showcase of your like Gundam collection maybe they can show us? Or like just Just like Gundam in like,
Yeah, well, all my shelves and stuff are in my own room, so I'm not in my room right now. But I did bring a few to show. So there's this one here. This line is from the master grade line of Gundams.
Sorry.
That's okay. So this is probably I brought this one because this is probably, I would say, the most sort of generic but basic kind of Gundam you'll see. It's just, they have a shield, a rifle, and a lot of times they'll have bazooka. But this is kind of as basic as they come. This is what you would kind of call just like a normal Gundam, normal loadout. And they do move. So as you can see, the leg here will move. The arms can move. So this is also another difference than to like model airplanes where you have to glue everything so nothing moves. It just sits there. With Gundam kits, you can move them. And so here is another one here. This is also a master grade. So it's the same kind of scale, but it's a bit bigger just because the design wise, it is a bigger robot in, the real world, if you want to call it that way. But also moves, so everything moves. Here, and then here I have some smaller ones, high grades, which are a little smaller than master grades.
Are like the smaller ones harder to build because like of the small pieces, or?
They can be, but everyone's different. So at first, the only thing I built were master grades because the pieces were bigger, and I've kind of got big hands. So, but but even master grades will have smaller pieces depending on the design. But I've gotten kind of used to it over the years, and now I don't necessarily mind building these small ones as long as it's a design I actually really, really like.
Oh, then like I'm just curious, but like, what are the procedures? You just need like you showed us earlier when it came up the package, it will be a big plastic piece, right?
Yeah.
Then do you just
like
cut it, or do you just cut it out and just snap it together, or like can you go through some of like the procedures because it's really like interesting for me?
Yeah. So I actually have some extra pieces here because like I said, I haven't opened this one here, but I do have a box here that kind of has some extra pieces here. So see, it will come like this, right?
Yeah.
And then what you need, there are just you don't need a lot of stuff to actually get into it, just some basic tools. So this is one that you absolutely need because this is what will cut off the pieces. So hopefully you can see what you do is you just snap. So there's little things that connect the piece to the actual thing. And you will just cut, and just like that, the piece is off. And then there will be little pieces still left over, so you just do a snip, and just like that. And if you wanted to, depending on if you're just getting into it or your skill level, you can just kind of leave it how it is. You'll have these little marks, but if that doesn't bother you, awesome. But I will take a sanding stick usually and just kind of go over it a few times to kind of minimize, especially when I'm straight building, I will do it to kind of minimize the sight
marks,
of that.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, because even though it's not the biggest thing in the world, and if you look at it from a distance, you'll never really notice it. But just me, I guess maybe it's me being OCD or something, but it bothers me.
Yeah.
So I try to. But when I go to paint though, you have to get rid of that completely, because otherwise when you go to paint it, it will show up through the paint, and that will just look ugly.
Oh, I see. Do you just like paint pieces by pieces? Or
Yeah. Actually, if you like, I still have some some pieces that I'm working on now. Actually, if I could show that, or
yeah, sure. I mean, if it doesn't require like a lot of movement or something.
just kind of this way. So we got here the different pieces I'm working on here.
Yeah, put your big screen.
So okay, yeah. So here, so what you would do is you would prime the pieces first, which means it's basically like putting a base coat of paint almost on it, like a neutral color. And there's different colors. You can do white, black, but gray is kind of a neutral color. And then after you prime it, put a couple of coats of that, then you start painting it here. So for example, this one is kind of ready. It's red. And so yeah. So if I had left those marks from cutting it out, you would see it very easily through the paint. But because I sand it down to make sure it's flat, you can't see it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Then I guess in order to do all of this, do you like actually refer to like the manual? Yeah, I mean like it's gonna be pretty hard if you're just gonna like freestyle it and snap it, right?
For what do you mean, just building or painting?
Just like building in general. Like, I mean, that would require a lot of skills actually.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of people that will kind of say, beginners should build this and that. They shouldn't jump to like some of the more complicated ones. In my opinion, I'm of the opinion that anyone can really build it if you're good at paying attention and following instructions, because even the most complicated of kits, instructions are very clear enough. All you gotta do is find the piece, match it to the instructions, and just follow what the instructions say and put it together. It's not the most complicated thing in the world, but I can see how it could be overwhelming for someone who's new.
Yeah, I mean, it would be overwhelming for me. There's so many small pieces and everything, right?
Yeah. Again, depending on if you get a big, huge one, like I have kind of this one right here. This is what's called a perfect grade.
Oh, that's really big. Can I just?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this perfect grades are known for having tons of pieces, tons of complexity, but at the same time having tons of detail. So something like this. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, how long do you take to like make one of this?
This one specifically, or just kits in general?
Just like this one specifically, because it looks so.
Yeah. Well. So. It would probably take at least, depending if I'm not lazy or not, I could do it within a couple days.
Wow.
But maybe I would say like 2-3 days at max. But this one specifically, this one would probably take a little longer, just because there is a gimmick inside of it where I don't know if you can see that, but it lights up.
Oh.
So, and then that's not just it, but the whole thing lights up. So there's LEDs inside of it.
Wow, that's so cool.
So it would take just a little bit longer for this one specifically, just because there's LEDs that have to go inside of it. But any other perfect grade of this size usually doesn't have this. They usually just have like a little LED kind of thing you put in the eye, and that's it, and it's not that bad. And so those would take a couple of days, but this one specifically would probably take just a tad bit longer, just because you would have to put in the LEDs.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yes.
Like, have you ever thought of like customizing it and like selling it in a way? Because like that's like I would buy it. Like, not gonna lie.
That one specifically, I'm gonna have to wait till I'm a little bit more skilled to do something for like on that one, because that's a lot of plastic to paint, a lot of stuff to do. So that would take a long time, and I'm personally I know I'm not ready to do that, but I am, as I showed you, I'm new to painting my kits, like I said, for 3 or 4 years, I've just been building them and putting on my shelf, which I enjoy and I'm fine with that. But I kind of just after watching YouTube videos of other modelers and seeing them paint their kits, I've kind of got the itch, I guess you could say, to paint and customize my kits. So I have started, I guess you could say, my journey into painting kits and mainly painting them for now, and eventually hopefully getting into kind of doing some custom stuff like that, maybe customizing different kits. And then when I feel I'm up to the skill level or up to par, I guess you could say, to actually sell them, I do plan on wanting to do like commissions and sell and customize kits for people.
Yeah, that'd be so cool, because like you are actually like making a business out of something that you really love, right? Because like I heard that Gundam is like something that you really enjoy doing, and like from how you say, like how you talk about it, I really see how you like put in so much effort, like 2 or 3 days to do that. That's a lot of effort.
Yeah, and well, it was funny because like when I first started, I was able to build these master grade ones, which are kind of, I guess you would call them like standard size. I was able to build these like within a day, like in a few hours, right? That was when I first started. But then as I kept going, I started putting a little bit more time into them. I started, sanding the nubs like I showed. I started doing what's called panel lines, which is where you would, let's see, there's a good example here. Well, not really, but it's kind of where these lines here.
Oh, yes.
They're never that color. You've got to do that yourself. And so I started doing that on my kits too, and that kind of added time. And eventually I started doing kits in a couple of days and 3 days, and it can kind of go on depending on how lazy I am and how involved the kit is. But then painting is a whole different story, because that absolutely takes longer, because when you paint it, you've got to wait for it to dry and cure. And that's usually 24 hours for one coat.
How many coats do you do? Is it like 3 coats? Like that's it?
Yeah. Well, I think again, since I'm new, I'm still not quite there. But the first one I painted, I think I only did like 1 coat of primer and 1 coat of paint, and it turned out fine, luckily. But I think I think I'm supposed to do multiple coats. So I think if I remember seeing, I'm supposed to do like 2 coats of primer and a couple coats of the paint. So I need to learn to kind of just do that more often. That just takes more time. And it's funny because I'm not an impatient person, but I am kind of like, let's hurry up, right?
Yeah, but like I get it.
And so like when I'm painting, I'm just like, I just want to go. I want to go and keep doing this. I want to keep painting it. I can't wait for it to dry, but I've got to make myself wait for it. So that's a little difficult sometimes.
How many have you like made? Like in your own?
Just built or painted?
Just how many have you like made in general? Like how many have you like built, I guess?
Yeah. Wow. I'm gonna be honest. I've lost count after like 50 something.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I remember it was last year or about a year and a half ago. I do remember counting just to kind of see, and I was like 51 or 52, and I've gotten more since then. So if I had to guess, probably closer to 70, maybe mid 60s.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question about like this, because in Thailand, there's kind of like a different environment-ish. Have your like parents said anything about you putting in so much time and effort in something that you love but isn't really so-called like academic, I guess?
Like a normal job or something.
Yeah. Have they said anything about it?
No, they support me. My mom definitely supports me too. My dad, they both support me in my hobby and everything. And I guess they see it as, if I can eventually, like obviously right now, at the moment, I'm not making money off of it, but they see that I can in the future possibly make money off of it. Again, doing like commissions. So, and I think they support that idea. Yeah.
I mean, from seeing you have a lot of potential to like actually launch your own like customization line and everything because it's like it's so cool. And honestly, I don't see a lot of people like doing this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know a lot of people that collect this kind of stuff.
Right.
So sometimes I kind of wonder like where do they get this kind of stuff when no one really sells it? I think it's like it's a great thing to try because like what's new? You should just like go for it.
It's funny because like actually, I mean, maybe it's not in Thailand, but in Asia, a lot of modelers that do custom paint jobs and stuff it's actually more common over there than it is over here in the West. There's a lot more people there. In fact, they have a competition, a worldwide competition for painting and customizing Gundam kits, and they basically take the best from each country, and they all go to Japan and will compete like in a final round to see who's good. So, each country will go through a kind of preliminary, and one person from America will be chosen to go, one person from England, different countries. They will all go and come to Japan, and they will all have like a final vote, and then whoever wins. And I think that's kind of cool too. And I guess that's kind of also a tiny goal for me is I think I would want to try it one day just to kind of see what happens.
You should go for it. And you should go for it. I mean, what could go bad, Just like
because I mean, as it is, America doesn't really do well. We never end up winning anything.
Maybe you could be the first.
I mean, that would be pretty cool. But I do have kind of an idea of what I want to do for if I did that. So I have an idea, but again, I need to get my skills up there because I would be competing with some of the best. Because some of the modelers and painters there in Asia, they are some fantastic skilled people. Like they make some crazy looking stuff. This is awesome.
Wow. Do you have like an artist in mind who you like admire? Since like just in general, like you admire kind of stuff. Kind of. There's one famous modeler in Japan called his name is Naoki, and he's like super good at he does this kind of it's kind of like a subtle, what's called like subtle weathering, where he'll paint the kits and he'll add like effects on the kit to make it look like it's kind of been used and weathered. So like there's like paint chippings on the armor. It's a little dirty is what it looks like. And there's just, I mean, I don't know how to really explain it besides it's really clean and it's really nice looking. And he's also, I think, he's like his stuff is always like in magazines there. Like in the hobby magazines there, and I even think he's like a producer. I think in one magazine, if I remember correctly. So like he chooses kind of what goes in the magazines and stuff. But wow, that's so cool. Okay, so just to like I didn't really touch on this, but I really want to know like you said that you started Gundam like 3 years ago, building it 3 years ago. But you said that you knew about it when you were like much younger, right?
Yes.
Like I just want to like what drives you like from young? Is it like an impression from young and then you just like
it's funny because like most kids, at least here, I'm not sure there or anywhere else in Asia, but at least here, most kids they're into the superheroes, right? They're into the Iron Mans, the Supermans, Wolverines, they're into the Marvel kind of comic book stuff, where I enjoy that stuff, but I was never just that big on it. But for some reason, something about just big robots fighting each other is cool to me. I just love robots, I guess, in general. And, as I was younger, I was into, I don't know if you had them there. I think Legos made them. They were called Bionicles, and they were basically Lego's version of like kind of robots, and you put them together too. I had tons of those, and and it's kind of it's kind of the same concept. You can kind of just build them yourself, and you can customize, mix and match with them. It's funny, my mom used to joke that I could build those without the instructions. Like I would open the box and be like, okay, yeah, and just put them together, and voila, they're there because they were that simple. I mean, they were made for kids, so they were very much simpler than these were. But and yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I've just, for some reason, I've just been pulled more to just Gundam and just kind of what's called, mecha robots. I've just been pulled more into that than anything. And it's funny because I guess as I was a kid and little, I liked that stuff. But for some reason, growing up, I kind of fell out of it and wasn't. And maybe like I forgot about it because I was young, or just growing up in general, I just kind of forgot about it. But after graduating high school, I kind of got bored of stuff, and I just, for some reason, I just had a random thought in my head like, oh yeah, Gundam, I was into that when I was a kid. I wonder if that's still around, if that's still a thing. So I ended up searching up for Gundam, and I found animes of the Gundams, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember. And I remember seeing some. I remember seeing as a kid. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. I was like, oh man, I'm reliving, nostalgia kind of, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I kept watching more. I was like, oh wow, there's this one, there's that one. Oh man, all these different ones are cool. And then through kind of rediscovering my love for Gundam and robots and stuff. Is how I got into the actual kit portion, because I remember having, like I said before, little ones. Either I can't remember if they were kits or like action figures. But I remember having something. I was like, I wonder if they still made them. So I looked online, and yep, they sure did, and took off from there and haven't looked back.
Okay, I just wanna. I'm pretty sure a lot of people be curious. It's not really about Gundam, but like, you're from Texas, America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just want to ask about like a global issue with the COVID-19 situation over there. How is it like?
Most of the world, kind of they slowed down, their first wave, and a lot of them plateaued, and now around this time of the year, a lot of them are kind of preparing for their sort of second wave, for fall and winter. Where here, our first wave never ended. We never plateaued. We just kept rising. And I remember seeing something very recent, a couple of days ago, that America, it makes up 25% of, I believe it's the deaths globally from COVID. Yeah. So.
Like, does it affect you, like buying Gundam and everything? Like, how do you buy Gundam? Do you like go out to buy them, or do you like order it in? And like all the like.
Most. Yeah, well, there are stores here in America that specifically sell Gundam kits. So, like, one of my favorite ones is called USA Gundam Store. That's where I do most of my shopping. But there's a couple others where if they don't have something, I'll go here. But yeah, I will basically place an order online, and they will send them this way. And there were a few times where I've gone in person to a store here called Barnes and Noble. It's like a bookstore. Mm-hmm. And they have like a sort of hobby toy section just in the store itself. And they started selling Gundam kits one day, and I was like, that's cool. And so I started kind of going there when I would go buy, manga and stuff. And I would also check and see what kits they have. And if they had something interesting, I would pick it out. But mostly, yeah, I order online and they're shipped to me. So at the beginning, there were a few delays, like the shipping was a little slower because everyone was still, at the beginning at least, quarantined and being more cautious. Mm-hmm. So deliveries were a little slower, and they were a little slower getting kind of orders out. But now they're kind of back. I mean, there still could possibly be delays, they always say, but they're pretty good at still getting it out on time. It's just now, instead of being excited, grabbing my box, taking it to my room, cutting it open, being like, yes, my kit, I've got to like carefully pick it up, wipe it down with some disinfectant wipes. I'm like, okay, is it good? Open the box, dump it out on the carpet, dump the stuff out, throw the box away, hand sanitize, make sure everything's good, and then get to my kid.
Also, like
Better safe than sorry.
no matter like what the situation is, you will still be able to like do Gundam, right?
Yeah, I mean it is a little harder just because a lot of because obviously they have to get their stuff from Japan, right? And then once they get it, then they can distribute it to us. So it is. There are some things that are just a little bit harder to get. Like for me, a lot of the paints and primers are, especially the primers, for whatever reason, no one has any, and that's kind of bad. And
does it like need to be like shipped internationally? Like is all like most of the Gundam like is it made like manufactured in Japan then sent out?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
so the company Bandai, they are a Japanese company because Gundam is a Japanese franchise. So they are all built and made in Japan, and then they will ship, big shipments of orders to America, and in America it'll go through a distributor, and the distributor will distribute them to the different stores here in America, and then we'll order through those different stores and we get them. So.
Oh, then does it mean that one box would be quite expensive? Would it?
Actually, well, no. The standard release stuff is around the same as what you would pay in Japan. It's not really any more expensive. You just pay a little bit more because obviously in Japan you can just walk into a store and buy one. And in some places in America you can do that. Some people that have hobby stores that sell Gundam kits, they can do that, but for me, I had to pay just a tiny bit extra just for like shipping, and that's about it.
Then like for the you said it is it called a master size, a master grade?
Yeah, master master grades, yes.
Like how much would it be worth like if you were to like buy it over from like the box? Like how much do you buy?
It depends on the size of the kit, the size of the design, because something can be in the same grade, saying like it could be a master grade, but it could be this tall and then this tall, but they're the same master grade. So what they do is that Bandai charges within the plastic in the box. So if it's a pretty full box of plastic, it'll be a little bit more expensive. So again, for something like this, kind of the more basic, just standard kit, you would probably, and it also depends on the age, because if it's an older one, it'll also be cheaper. But you could probably pay, around $38 to $40 for a standard one. And I'm sorry, I'm not real sure what that would be in your currency.
It would be 900, 1,000 baht.
Yeah. So
you said there's like different sizes, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
what are like?
Because there's different sizes in grades, and then there's different sizes within those grades. So kind of like how I showed here, these are both master grades, but their actual just like designs in general are, this is a taller design compared to him, but they're both master grades.
But the bigger one would be more expensive, right?
Yes, yeah, because there's more plastic.
I see. Do you have like a favorite one that you want or like you like made? Just like
it would probably have to be that one I showed you that lit up. That one.
The bling bling.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite, just because it's cool. It lights up. How awesome is that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And it's funny because that's actually not the only one. I have a second one that I didn't bring out, but it's basically the exact same, just without some of the stuff. But instead of this dark blue yellow, it is white, and then it lights up red.
Oh.
Yeah. And in the story, that's like the first main one, whereas the one I showed you is kind of like the second, I guess, unit, the second version of that, and that one's actually my favorite anyways. But then they also make a third one. It's very limited, and I wish I could afford it, and I wish I could get it someday, but it's a gold plated one, and the lights are blue. So it's really shiny, and it's like a fingerprint magnet. You just touch. It's like touching a jewel almost. You're gonna get fingerprints on it, but it's really shiny and gold. But it's really expensive, and I really hope one day I can get it. It's super cool looking.
Oh, that'd be so like awesome. Cause like the one you showed me, I felt that was like so cool already, like with the colors and everything. And like imagine it like plated gold.
Yeah. Just imagine instead of that dark blue or blue part, it's bright, shiny gold.
Are those like it's a limited edition, right?
Yeah. What they I'm sorry.
It's limited edition or something.
Yeah. What they do a lot of things called P Bandai, which are very limited kind of runs. So like a lot of the regular kits, standard release stuff, they'll always be printing them, they'll always be making them. But a lot of these limited edition ones, they make like a certain batch at a certain time. And if you don't get one, and they don't make them more expensive, but if you don't get one at a certain time, you're kind of out of luck. You either have to wait for them to hopefully print it again, or you're gonna have to buy it from a third party, someone who's more likely gonna jack up the price. So
I see.
yeah, so like that gold one for normally would be around like I think it was $600.
Wow.
Normally. But because they don't make it that often, and if you try to buy it from someone else, it's more like you're paying $800 to $1,000 for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then if someone like build it and customize it, how much will the price like shoot up?
It depends what they decide to sell it for, but I could very easily see someone, if for that specific one, I could very easily see someone try to charge $1,500, probably close to $2,000 for it. It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
Is there anything else you like to mention to the audience or like to the parents that are watching this? Or like maybe to people who are trying to find their own passion, but it's not really what people considered?
I'm still kind of, as much as I'm doing this, I'm still very much kind of sort of, struggling on my own, still trying to kind of, I guess you could say, figure out my place in the world, more or less. But, what I can just say is just, if you have something you like, if there's something you really enjoy, especially, nowadays, just go for it. Just go all in. Just, you like it, love it, keep going. And, to any parents that are maybe like, a little hesitant, because I know especially, maybe this is a stereotype and I don't know, but I know a lot of Asian parents, are more on, they want their kids to go to college. They want them to be doctors. They want them to be lawyers. They want them to have, this job that they may not like, but pays a lot. Well, at least here in America, I mean, there's kids that they're making millions of dollars just playing video games. They're following their dreams. The world is a scary place, and the unknown is very scary. But you just gotta kind of get out there, and you gotta enjoy your life. You can't just go do something that you don't want to do, and then be miserable at it. Yeah, maybe you make a lot of money here for something you're not enjoying, but money is it's just a piece of paper. Why not make money doing something you enjoy? Why do you want to put yourself through something that's going to make you miserable? And
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, and
Like just kind of live your life.
Yeah, and I even though I'm not a parent yet, I can't quite fully understand a parent's feelings toward their kid of wanting them to do well, but I do understand that you don't want your kid to fail in life. You don't want them to, so you kind of feel like sometimes you might have to kind of control them, but I would say just don't do that too much. Let them learn, let them make mistakes, because that I feel like making mistakes is the best way to learn something. You know,
Mhm.
to me, you don't learn something by just doing it and it happened. Like, oh, cool. You learn by making a mistake and then figuring out why you made the mistake and try to not to do it again. So, you know, you just gotta let them figure themselves out, especially in this day and age where things are different. You know, we have a social media, you know, a lot of young people are very kind of glued to that, and I feel like that can make things worse, you know, mentally for everyone, because you can see people around your age being successful, traveling the world. You know, they got millions of dollars, and you're here, you know, feeling like you're not doing something in your life. You know, you can't let that bother you. You got to realize that even though you're seeing it a lot, they're the minority of the whole world. You gotta just you just gotta live your life, and you gotta do what you enjoy.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, exactly.